In this video, I'm going to show you the best local AI stack. That includes N8N, large language models, MCPs, databases, all 100% free, all no code and installed on your local machine. To show you that I don't have a version of N8N running on my local machine, I'm inside of the browser here. I'm going to refresh localhost port 5678 because there's nothing on here, so there's no site that can be reached because I've deleted all previous versions of the containers. So the first step is you want to head over to docker.com, and basically Docker is just a container that helps developers build, share, and run and verify applications. So think of it as like a sandbox. You can basically launch and do anything you want in here. You can break applications. It's all contained within this environment. And what's great for us is that Docker is free, and because N8N is open source, we can install it for free inside of Docker. So Docker has a desktop app, and I'm running this on a Mac, but they do have Windows PC support. Once you have Docker installed, head over to GitHub and find the self-hosted AI starter kit. It's a resource from N8N themselves, and it's really useful. They've got a lot of content on here, which is going to help us. What's included in the starter kit is a self-hosted N8N version. So this is a low-code platform, obviously with 400 plus integrations. Ollama, which is a cross-platform language model repository. So there are a bunch of language models that you can basically pull from their servers and then run it locally on your machine. They've also got Qdrant, which is a really interesting vector store. So if you're not familiar with what a vector store is, it's basically a place where you can save and store a bunch of data, right? It's like a dynamic database, and you can extend a vector store and plug it into something like a RAG. And I've covered RAG in a previous video, so have a look at that. It doesn't use Qdrant, it uses Vectorize, I think, but you can replace it with Qdrant. The process is exactly the same. And the last one, you've got Postgres SQL, which is a database platform. Again, it's open source, so it's free to use. And so they've got installation instructions for various types of setups. So if you've got NVIDIA as a graphics card, you would use this. If you've got AMD on Linux, you would use this. And if you're not sure, just head down to the bottom, which is what I'm gonna do, because for everyone else is this instructions here. And when I tested it earlier, it worked. So the first thing you want to do is get the GitHub clone starter kit and basically install it onto your machine. So I'm going to bring up terminal here, and I'm just going to paste this and then run that. So now what it's doing is cloning the self-hosted starter kit onto my machine, onto my local Mac. So you can see it's done everything. It's downloaded everything, all the objects and all the system files, support files, and then that's done. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to change directories, which is this one here. So we'll do that next. And so now I'm inside of the self-hosted AI starter kit. If everything is successful, you'll then be taken to the local host. You can see here I'm already logged in, and this is running on port 5678 because that's how it's set up. That is the default port. If you're doing this for the first time, you'll be asked to create an account inside of N8N, and then there's some basic onboarding, and they'll send you the license key to your email address. But aside from that, it's exactly the same as you would see it on the cloud servers over at N8N. So you build it exactly the same. You create a new workflow here, and the entire canvas, all the UI is exactly the same. Now, there is just one more thing that I want to add, which is if you go to the bottom here, click on settings, and we're going to go to community nodes, and we're going to install a community node, which is N8N-node-MCP. So click on the disclaimer here, and it's nodes, sorry. It's N8N-nodes-MCP. Just wait for that to load. It's just going to install this package, which means that you can run MCPs inside of your locally hosted N8N installation. So just wait for that to finish. Once it's successful, you'll see it here as an MCP client. And to double check that, you just head over back to the canvas. We're just going to bring up an AI agent. So I'll show you everything that's available here. So we're going to bring up the AI agent and just move this over to the left here. And then for the tools, we can just see if the MCP client is there, and it is. So this is the MCP client tool, and you would then just set this up based on whatever MCPs you're going to use. I'll cover this on other videos, so I'm not going to cover that here, but I'm just going to add that there. And the last thing you want to do is you want to add the Ollama chat model. And again, I'm not going to cover this inside of this account, on this video, sorry, because I've got another video that shows you how to set up Ollama with the AI agents. But if you're not sure what Ollama is, head over to Ollama.com. You can actually download language models onto your locally hosted machines. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. The first is if you download the application. It's available for Mac, Windows, and Linux, but you don't need to do that. You can do it all inside of either Docker or Terminal, and just head over to models here. They've got a bunch of free stuff that you can test. So DeepSeek is obviously the most popular. It's had 53 million pulls, but there's some other ones here. I don't know if these are sorted by popularity. I think they are, although Gemma 3 should be higher because it's 8.7, but you get the point. And the only thing that you need to basically think about, and I do cover this in another video, this is just kind of setting up the MCP, the locally hosted n8n and Postgres and Qdrant. So I'll show you that next. But if you are going to install a local language model onto your local machine, you want to make sure that it's basically going to be able to run on the hardware that you have. So some of these, like DeepSeek R1 latest, this is 5.2 gigabytes. So it's not going to be too big for most desktop or laptops, right? But something like this, the DeepSeek 671B, is 404 gigabytes. So this is a huge installation. It's going to take up a lot of resources, not only to install, but obviously once it's running, once the language model is operational inside of your n8n account, it's going to use a ton of resources, right? So just make sure that you have the capability to run this. And if you're not sure, just run the lowest packaged language model. So this one's only 1.1 gigabytes. It's probably not going to be as effective as something like this in terms of the outputs and the quality of the outputs, but you can just test it and see how it goes. So heading back into the automation here, we can then see the other two nodes that have been added. So the first one was Qdrant. So let me just see if that's there. So Qdrant is the vector store, and you've got all the nodes and everything in here. You can install the node as well if you're going to do that, and it's exactly the same as the MCP client. And then the last one was Postgres, which is the database, and again, this is exactly the same. You just attach it as as a node. So let's just see if we're gonna bring this up here, and you just attach this as part of your automation. If you found this video useful, consider signing up to my private AI automations group called the Automation Kings. Inside of here, we'll show you exactly how you can make money using AI. If that's what you do, if you're gonna build a side hustle, if you're gonna build an agency, I've got you absolutely covered. Got a great community here of automation, noobs, beginners, up to experts like myself, but it really doesn't matter what level you're coming in at. And we've also got classrooms. There's a bunch of content here to help you get started. If you want to build an AI agency in 16 days, I'll show you how to do that, because that's what I do in the daytime. And I've also got AI automations and blueprints. So there's a ton of automations. If you want to find clients on LinkedIn, on Upwork, on communities, like Reddit, like Quora, I've got all that covered for you. And this is what a typical video looks like. So this is the tutorial video. I've also got the supporting documentation. So this one needs Docker. This has got some other, additional files that we need. And this is all saved on Google Docs. You've also got the blueprints. If you just want to install it directly inside of your n8n, we've got a JSON file. You just upload that, and there's some other supporting documentation here as well. So a link for that is in the description below. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully this clears it up, because I've had a lot of people contacting me asking, how can we install n8n locally on a machine that doesn't use, obviously, the cloud server, which means that it's completely free. So smash the like button if you enjoyed this video. Sign up to the channel, become a subscriber, turn the notifications on. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.